right at 10 a.m. too.
Nice number. Nice
Yeah,
number.
10 a.m. is a good number. Actually, 10 a.m. on the dot.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today, I am back on deck. Been a week off, I believe, 7 days since the last live stream. Sometimes you just got to take a rest. So today, I'm going to talk about something really interesting. Probably something before I did breakup coaching, just like a lot of things. You know, when you do something you know a lot about, like help people with breakups because maybe you've been through them, maybe you studied it, you've overcome it. At the same time, whenever you're a coach or a teacher, which I've been both, you learn along the way by teaching other people or helping other people. You learn from them and what they're going through, and some things that, some terms or some things that you were just unaware of because they didn't come up in your own trials and tribulations. But one thing that has come up again and again is what I call entanglements. Staying entangled with your ex. So we're going to unpack that a little bit today. I'm going to get into that deeper. If you like the live stream, throw me a like. If you don't like it, it's better to have an opinion. If you want to do a live coaching session and unpack your breakup story with me personally on Skype or FaceTime, you can go to writemac.com and you can book a time today, and we can talk on Skype or FaceTime and fully unpack your situation. If you don't find it useful or helpful, I will refund your money. And if you want to send in your story, I could read it in a live stream just like this, or a private video response. That's also an option if you don't want to share it with people. All right, so let's get into the live stream today because it's going to be an interesting one. What is it, an entanglement? So good question. So first and foremost, entanglement, it's almost like if you get entangled with something, if you think about a fishing net or a spider web, it's being stuck a little bit and being tied to something in my interpretation. I would actually maybe have to look that up on Google, the exact term for entanglement. But entanglement is something that you're still a part of it. But to be tangled up, like I said, a good analogy of tangled up is a fishing line or a fishing net, and you're stuck. It's not like a trap or a web. I think it's when you're dealing with your ex, for example, this is how it relates to dealing with your ex. You have these parts of your relationship that are still there. For example, if you still share a car, only one of you has a car, and one of you owns the car and one of you uses the car, how are you going to be able to fully move forward without dealing with that issue of the car? It's an entanglement. If you rented an apartment together, this is very common. And you know, when you rent an apartment, you rent the apartment and you both maybe have to put your name on the lease, or one person puts their name on the lease. There's money deposited. So let's just say that you put up $1,000, which would be a very small amount, and you break up and someone goes, hey, I put up the $1,000, you never gave me $500. That's an entanglement. So when you break up, the person goes, can you give me that $500? And you go, well, I don't have the money right now. And if that's an honest answer, that's all you can do. But that's going to be an entanglement where you are not going to be able to move forward until that individual gets their $500, because they're going to be calling you up and they're going to be saying, hey, where's my $500? And it might be a negative thing, right? Because over time, they're going to be going, I really want that $500. I deserve it. It's fair. It's right. It's equal, et cetera, et cetera. And so these entanglements, when you break up, put you in a situation where you're both enabling the relationship to sort of carry on, right? So, for example, if you want to get a new TV, right? This is actually a very simple way to put this. If you want to get a new TV and you have a TV already, the TV works pretty good. It just doesn't have 4K such and such picture, LED such and such picture. and you go, I have enough money, I need to upgrade. But here's the thing. You have a TV in your house, in your living room. In order to get the new TV, you're gonna have to move the other TV. You're gonna have to get rid of that TV, right? And part of you is like, it's a good TV, actually. It still works. Should I spend the $500 for a new TV? I really want a new TV. But you actually have to make a decision to get rid of the TV to make space for the other one. This is an extremely simple situation, but you know what I mean by that. And then you go, okay, and then part of you goes, well, I'll give away the old. You have to find a way to make that TV that still works useful. You have to feel like I'm doing something useful with that TV that I didn't do before. So what happens is, when you break up, you have things that you still share, right? Could be a TV, not to keep on the TV thing, but you know what I mean, right? And so any of these things that you continue to do for each other, which could be good intentions, it's not necessarily a negative thing. It will keep you entangled with that person. This is why, for example, if someone owns a business together, thanks, Rob. Yeah, I was watching it. If someone owns a business together, and they quit, it's very hard to break up if you own a business together, because someone gets fucked. I know someone right now that owns a restaurant with their partner right now, and I think that they would be broken up a long time ago if they didn't have this business together, because someone put a lot of money and time into it, and someone else is going like, I'm not going to leave the business. You're not going to leave the business. It's entanglement. It's the spider that has you in the web. But what you don't realize is that you kind of have a choice to cut yourself from that web. But here's the thing. Once you cut all entanglements, then it gets real. It actually gets real, because you're like, okay, we have no reason to talk anymore. That's interesting, because that's when a real breakup starts. Now, if you had no entanglements when you break up, a very clean breakup, right from the get-go, it fucking hurts. It hurts bad. It's like, damn, this is fucked up. It hurts. If you have entanglements, you can be like, oh, I'm going to go over there for dinner because I have to discuss the bills, or I'm doing this. And so what happens is you continue to be a part of the relationship, but you're not all in. And you have reasons to revisit the relationship that are non 100% committal, if that makes sense. It's like you're not 100% together, but you still have these entanglements. So you feel like we're not really broken up. Like, we still get love and attention. But here's the catch. You never really break up. But what happens is someone gets tired of the situation. It's usually one person, not both. People generally don't work out perfectly where they're like, okay, I've decided today, you've decided today that actually these entanglements and these things that we're sharing are no longer good. Usually one person gets fed up and goes, hey, I know we've been kind of seeing each other once a week and having dinner, but I don't want to do that anymore because I want to go 100% into a breakup, and I don't think you've been showing me the attention I want. And the other person goes, wait a minute. I thought dinner was good every week. I thought this was fun. I thought hooking up one time a week, and then maybe the partner goes, or the ex goes, yeah, but I want more. And I met someone else. And then it's like, ground zero. Now the breakup really starts, because the entanglements that kept you kind of going drip feed you. Drip feed you means like if you're in the hospital and you're just getting that little bit of water to keep you alive, right? It's the same thing with entanglements in a breakup. It's like you really aren't fully breaking up until you slash out of that spider web and get rid of all the entanglements, and then get really deep into like, it's fucking over. And when that feeling comes, it's different than when you have reasons to see each other. It's totally different, because all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, there's no going back now. Because once you slash the entanglements and try to revisit them, person's like, we already dealt with that. Like, we already split the business. Let's just say, for example, it's a business. We already split the business. Oh, but you know what? I kind of want to come back to work there. No, we already made the deal. Then it gets real. Then it's like, okay, we've actually been broken up for like 4 months, but now that the entanglements are gone, now we really are officially finished. Mm-hmm. That's when it gets real. And that's when entanglements get emptied out. So just a review of some of these. Let me see. I wrote some down. So some of the types of entanglements that you could have. Finances would be number one. Mm-hmm. One of you has more money than the other. Very simple thing. It's like someone will be like, oh, God. And then he makes more money or she makes more money or he owes me money or she owes me money. Happens all the time. All the time. We don't realize that I think marriage in its history in a lot of ways was designed to have people share bills, share responsibilities, share financials. So it's a big part of relationships. And if you were together 5, 6, 7 years, a lot of times the finances are still, even if you're not married, a big part of it. So you need to get those sorted out immediately when you break up. If you don't, they will carry on. And the person that needs your financial help more than you need their financial help will continue to do what they need to do to get that financial help. And you, on the other hand, whenever you give someone financial help, tell me I'm wrong on this. And if it's an ex, is it really because you want to help them, or are you hoping that they give you something in response to that? That's what you got to really ask yourself. Like, am I willing to give this money to them forever and not get anything back from them? And I'm not talking about marriage when you have kids, because if you have kids and you have a marriage and you get divorced and you need to give money for your kids' school, things like that, clothes, whatnot, that's a values judgment that's totally different. What about common friends entanglement? Well, what was that? An elephant there? It would be similar. Friends entanglements would be similar too. I think that deep friendships that go sour, because again, a lot of times a good friend could go sour because of business, because of finances, a variety of things. But you're always entangled with all these people. It's very interesting. It's something that I didn't realize till I started doing coaching and researching psychology, how much the people you spend time with, you get entangled with them, whether you like it or not. That's why you need to really choose who you hang out with wisely, people that you respect, people that you like. And if you're hanging out with people you don't really like or you don't really respect, then fucking, you got to change it. And if it was your partner that you didn't like or respect, then that's really tough. So the other things that we have for entanglements, though, are, so let me get this back here. Finances. I just wrote lovemaking or intimacy. So a lot of times someone will keep seeing their ex. That's a huge entanglement. And the problem with that is, if you're getting your fix one time a week or twice a week with intimacy, hugs, kisses, etc., with that person, you are not going to create a space to meet someone new. And if you're going to be really picky about who you meet next, because you're like, I don't really need to look for new intimacy or a new partner right now because I already got this one time or twice a week. And so I'm not really thirsty for it. Family and friends is actually an entanglement. So this happens a lot. A lot of people, when they break up out of college, they do this, where they go, well, we have the same friends. And it's almost like, I don't know what to do because I don't want to hang out with my ex-girlfriend and our old group of friends because it's awkward. Because hanging out with your ex after you broke up, it's kind of awkward in a group of friends because all the friends are going, oh, what's going on with them? So let's get the fabulous Aleph on the mic really quick. The man of reason, the man of choice, the man of utter genius. Aleph,
Yeah.
Have you ever had this happen before where you broke up and you had mutual friends with your ex?
Not my. It's not my story again, but it's what I saw from my friends that we are the same college. When he hang out with his.
Okay, just to interject, you're saying that you were in the same circle of friends, and then your friend broke up with his girlfriend, which you guys all hung out before.
Yep.
So you were a spectator. You were kind of on the side, and then so what happened?
It's like he feel awkward that he have to hang out with his ex, which is like to be his friend.
And I think what's really difficult is when you break up, you're already, not everyone, but most of the time, especially if the breakup was hard, you love and care about the person, you're already awkward a little bit. But if you're in public and everyone knew you as a couple, everyone's looking at you as a couple and they're going, oh, is she mad at him?
On?
Yeah, like, is she mad at him? Is she angry? And here's the fucking ridiculous thing, though. I tell people this all the time. Your friends don't care that much. Like if that makes sense. In the moment, let's say you have a birthday dinner, and you're both friends with that friend. You go to the birthday dinner, you're like, oh shit, fucking Karen's gonna be there. I don't want to see her, but I really want to be there for my buddy John's birthday, and it's gonna be fun. So that's a judgment call where someone goes, I've had many people call me this for breakup advice, and they go, what should I do? I say, look, if you don't want to go because you're going to be uncomfortable, just tell your buddy John, go, hey, look, we just broke up. I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but I'm just uncomfortable seeing her there. It's still kind of a fresh wound. And your buddy John should be like, yeah, no problem, bro. It shouldn't be a big deal. But if you don't feel comfortable going, it's fine. That's not going to last forever. And some people think like, oh, well, then my friends are going to be upset or something. Your friends are not going to lose sleep over this. Mm-hmm. They are not going to, they in the moment, they might gossip a little bit. They might say a couple things. But in reality, they're not really going to spend that much time on it. A lot of times what your friends think about you or your family members think about you, it's not as strong as you think it is. They make a comment and it's like, it flies away. They don't like stay in bed at night going, oh, I wish that, Karen and Jim get back together. They don't care that much. And a lot of people think like, oh, they do. They really care or they really think about this. They don't fucking care that much. So when you have a situation where you're worried about your friend's situation, you can take a step back from that group of friends and just go, for the moment, I'm broken up. And I don't want to be around my ex-girlfriend and a similar group of friends. And so your alternative is to hang out alone, which some people have a lot of trouble with. Hang out with some friends that maybe you've neglected that are good friends. Call up one of your family members that you haven't talked to. Look for alternative people to hang out with, because you probably aren't going to hang out with that group of friends and your ex and not be entangled in the situation or feel uncomfortable. And when you put yourself in that situation, you're putting yourself in a further situation where you're not leading into being fully broken up. You're not making space for someone new, because when you're around your ex in the flesh, in person, you can't really heal. You can't really move forward because you still kind of have them in your eye. And worst case scenario, if you go there to a event or a public place and your ex gets drunk or starts flirting with someone in front of you, that's worst case.
Yeah.
Did that happen, Aleph?
Yes.
See, that's fucked up.
Yes.
And that to me is something that someone can easily do if they want to get your attention, or they're upset or they're upset with you. So you can put yourself, and you know your ex better than I do, is what I tell people. So if your ex would be capable of doing that. But if you show up to a public event and it's mutual friends and you guys are broken up, it's in their right to have a few drinks and flirt. Yeah. And this has happened before with you?
Yeah, it's not with me. It's the same couple that I told you that they just broke up, and after that, about 6 months or years, they're back together.
And then what do you mean they're back together after they broke up 6 months later?
Yeah.
But then they would be together publicly?
Like the same again.
Yeah. Did they break up again?
No. Now they didn't break up for about 2 years after that. Like, but it's
So they're together now.
yeah.
Okay, so maybe it was just a bump in the road, but that's where you get to a certain point. Entanglements are fine; you can get back together. I just had a coaching client yesterday, and he got back with his ex. The problem was clear. He did everything right. He's a big Corey Wayne fan. He's a fan of my work and my videos, and basically he's in his early 20s, very mature, very smart guy. Would have no problem getting a new girlfriend. Knows who he is, what he's about. But he got in this breakup, and he immediately, it was a long distance thing. He immediately, in the beginning, I think it was over a year ago, he overcompensated, he got needy, he called her many times, and he's like, what the fuck am I doing? He started like doing some work on himself. He dug into law school books and working on himself, this, that, and the other. Disentangled completely, because long distance, one of the things about long distance relationships is you can really disentangle. Because the only thing, the worst entanglement, what do you think the worst entanglement is right now in the 21st century for breakups? By far, 10 times worse than anything else that you can be entangled with your ex and keep you literally in the web of their life.
You have a kid together.
Ooh, that was not what I was thinking, but that's absolutely true. I think that entanglement is something that you have to deal with. And from what I've talked to other people, I don't have kids. From what I've talked to other people, you get better at it. If you know, at some point, even in the beginning for the first year or 2 years, someone's bitter, someone's upset, someone's saying you didn't pay enough, someone's saying you're not seeing the kids enough. But at some point in my experience of doing coaching and talking to people that have co-parenting situations, they generally say it takes a year or two, and then they say, you know what, me and my ex they get to a point where the common ground, if they're good parents and they're good people, where they put the kid first and they kind of can put the other shit to the side. Not always, but yeah, that would be an entanglement. That would be the ultimate. What would you say would be number 2, Aleph?
You have this business with your ex.
A business with your ex would be an ultimate entanglement, but that's entanglement that involves math. And the great thing about math is it's very cut and dry, right? It's like 2 + 2 is 4.
Like salary things.
Yeah, like you can go through, if you let's say you had a business, you can go through the assets.
Like you work together like that.
Yeah, but one person's gonna have to buy the business. One person's gonna have
to overcome that business.
Yeah, you're not gonna. If you're gonna break up, you can't really carry the business together unless the business is so big that you can be in different departments and different. You can't really work together any longer. That's just gonna be in the web longer. You're never gonna, even though you're broken up. The worst thing about entanglements is it's comfortable. It's comfortable in a lot of ways because you still get access to your ex. So the most painful thing in a breakup, think about this for a minute, is not knowing what your ex is thinking, not knowing if they want to come back, not knowing if they miss you, not knowing if they care. A lot of people go, oh, they don't even care about me. They never cared about me. And part of their problem is like, now that you're broken up, you can't really see if they do or they don't because they're not showing you. So when you have entanglements like a business, like any of these things, you can kind of check in like, oh, they really don't care. Oh, they really do care. Oh, this and that. The actual ultimate entanglement right now is actually a passive covert entanglement. You still don't got it, Aleph?
No, I got it, but it's like...
What do you think is the number one, though? The number one most common entanglement in breakups in 2020 and will be in the future as long as it exists?
Like I told you, when you have kid together.
Kid would be number one, sure. Because kid's not something you're just going to run away from, even though some people do. Some people do. Business, some people do run away from that. But the number one problem that comes up again and 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 again, social media. And people wouldn't think it's an entanglement. It fucking is, man. Pictures, videos, that's a big entanglement because you're like, oh my God, she just went to Hawaii for the weekend. I can't believe she's doing that. Oh my God, she just lost 5 pounds. She looks so good in a bikini.
He hang out with his ex again.
What did you say?
It's what my friend, which is a girl side, say. When like, I think sorry for my friends. Now they back together, but during that time, they are like really fucked up.
About social media.
Not just social media. When they hang out like that, when a guy just start to flirting, and then that girl flirting again, my friend, he's kind of pissed off.
You mean in public? Oh, because you're talking about when you guys have a group of friends together again.
Yeah.
That's a bad situation, dude.
It's like when I look back, it's like, fuck, are you guys gonna ruin party? Like that.
That's what I mean. It's like you have a reason to go to a friend function, dinner, party, whatever. Birthday party, Halloween party, Christmas party, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be watching what your ex is doing. Because it's kind of like this. It's like if you've been together, the longer you were together, your role with that person is like, that's my girlfriend. That's my boyfriend. You know, like when we're together, we used to hold hands. We used to get each other a drink. We used to take care of each other. If you show up at a party or somewhere and they're just like, hey, what's up? It's like, what? It feels like you lost your job. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So, Lisa Kedlar. I was just discarded by the narcissist that I have been dating for over a year. We had a trip to Catalina Island. In less than a week, he discarded me. Catalina Island's a beautiful place. I take it you're in Southern California. I've been there before. This is the 4th time he doesn't care, no emotions or empathy. So my question is, Lisa, if you knew this man's a narcissist, why were you dating him for over a year? Or did you identify that after he broke up or discarded you? That'd be my first question. Getting back to the live stream. So staying entangled. I think it happens a lot. I know it's happened in my own relationships. And I think that, thanks, Michael. I appreciate it, bud. I think that the entanglements are what is going to maybe you believe might lead you to get back together. And in some cases they will. Like, if, for example, if you go to a dinner party or one of these birthday parties and you run into your friends and someone gets jealous, your girlfriend or boyfriend can call you the next day and go, look, I want to get back together.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're, especially young people, because they really worry about what people think. That's the situation where you are not going to make space to meet someone new. Mm-hmm. So my point in all this, if you really want to, and I don't like using this word all the time, upgrade. But a lot of times, if you broke up with your ex and you come to me and you talk to me about your situation, you talk to me about what went down, we get to the bottom of like, do you want your ex back? Like, or do you just want the intimacy back? Or do you just want to see them but also be able to play the field? Or do you want, like, a lot of times you don't really want the same relationship back because that's why it's broke. It's broke for a reason. And the quicker you get back together, in my experience in talking to people, the more likely you'll break up for the same reason. Because nothing was fixed. Right? If you have a drug addict, which is a good example, and they go, I'm going to quit using cocaine every day of my life, and they quit for 2 weeks. First of all, you don't know if they quit. They could just tell you that. Second of all, it's very hard for a drug addict to quit in 2 weeks. Could you believe them? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you need time. But the hardest part is when you really want to get real and you slash all entanglements, it hurts because you have no reason to contact that person for anything. And then if you contact them, they're like, why are you hitting me up? Like, we don't have any business matters anymore. We don't have any money matters anymore. We don't have any. And then when someone throws out well, we can be friends. Dun, 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 dun. And you feel like one person goes,
what's your problem?
Not just what's your problem, but some people accept it at first. Like, yeah, we could be friends. But the reality is, if you're hanging out in public, like I said, like a cocktail party, Christmas party, birthday party, and you guys have been together for 6, 7, 8 years, and then you're supposed to act like friends, I don't think it works very well. Mm-hmm. even if you have someone new, it's like someone, it's not, like I said, it's like losing your job and then going back to your work and going, yeah, I just want to hang out. Right? Like, let's say you got fired from your job at the coffee shop, right? And you like that job, but they fucking fired your ass. They said, hey, man, you come in late every day and you're sloppy as fuck, right? And you're like, damn, I didn't think you were going to fire me. And then, like, next week you just come in there and hang out and have coffee and talk to your friends that work there. Your friends that work there will be like, oh, cool, good to see Aleph and everything like that. But they're like, damn, why is he hanging out here when he doesn't even have a job? They would be like, don't you have something else to do? Yeah. They would want to see you. But if you hung out for like an hour, 2 hours, they'd be like, okay, dude, really? They'd feel awkward. They'd feel a little bit bad for you because you're not really still a part of the team. Yeah. You could do it one time, but the manager that fired you would be like, what the fuck's this guy doing here? Hey, how you doing, man? Right? It's the same thing with the breakup. Once someone's done and you kind of hang around. And I had this happen one time. I worked at a school. I worked for a charity, and I really liked that job. And I actually quit on my own, but for my own reasons. And it wasn't anything like anger or disdain or anything like that. I just felt like it wasn't the job that I wanted to do long term, and I had to cut the entanglement or the cord. But I was really still close to some of the teachers that worked there, and you know, I liked the office atmosphere and stuff. And I remember like a year later, I went in that office and I sat down at my old desk, and I was just hanging around with some of the new teachers that got hired. And I was sitting there chatting and stuff, and one of the teachers that was new was kind of like, okay, kind of like, you can go now. Like, you're not a part of the team anymore. And I just felt like, fuck. I used to run this fucking office, you know. I was like, yeah. We used to have meetings. I was a big part, you know, like, and I was just sitting in there like, okay, because the atmosphere had changed. There was new teachers, there was a new group, and they were like, you're not a teacher here anymore. Like, for you to hang out and give us your opinion and joke around, it's like, you're not really welcome in that way. You're welcome like that you're old staff, but it's different. And so these entanglements, I think that it's really difficult because it's comfortable to find an excuse to see your ex and check up on them and see and read what I would say. It's almost like reading a thermometer of where you're at. Because when you run into each other or you do something together, you go to yourself, you're like, okay, she still likes me. And you go, cool, I feel better. Like, I could tell in that interaction, if I wanted to, we could probably get back together. And that feels good. That actually feels good. Like, you feel like, even though you don't want to get back together, you're like, cool, safety net. But if you cut off all ties, go straight into no contact, everything, social media. Hey, I got a pair of your socks at the house that are your favorite fucking hiking socks. Did you want to come by and grab them? No. Leave them on your door and I'll pick them up when you're at work. That's no entanglements. That's like, we're just going to go 0 to 0 to 0 to 0 to 0. And you stop to like sweet texting, like, hey, good night, hey, this. And everyone knows, like, after you break up, yeah, she just sent me a text, like, thinking of you, hope you're okay, heart, right? And when you get those texts, you're like, oh, yeah, it's still on deck. It's like, we're broken up, but I know she still loves me and she still cares about me. But the reality is, at some point, one of you is going to go, I got the option at something else. So whoever meets someone else significant first, that's a replacement, while you're in this gray area, wins. Think about that for a minute. Unless you went all in on yourself and you were like, you know what? Nope, I'm not going to play not to lose, because entanglements are playing not to lose. Entanglements is a situation where you're saying, I don't want to lose this relationship, but I do want to see if I can get another relationship. It's a little bit selfish in some ways. And you're like, so if I keep stringing this along, find ways to see each other. But the reality is, cut off all entanglements, put yourself on the island, and then you go, okay. Then when you cut off all contact, commit to it, it's like it gets real quick. And then you're like, now we're broken up. Now we're done. And the I've said this before, the statement that's significant is when you say, I'm done. And when you say I'm done, it's a significant move in the direction of being officially single. And so you got to really take inventory of these entanglements. And if you have them, like I said, the closer you live to each other, it's more common because you run into each other. You know, you're gonna come across each other. That's some things that you can avoid by taking different routes. But I'm making this video not just because I'm telling people, oh, you got to slash all your entanglements. Just be aware of it. That's all. Because if you want to stay entangled for your own reasons and you find them to be good reasons, it could be because of kids, it could be because of finances, it could be because you still love them. Just realize that the longer you keep the entanglements, these are the consequences. You're never fully broken up in your head. Number two, you risk the chance of them meeting someone else and then going, yeah, I met someone else. I don't think we can hang out for lunch anymore. And you're like, wait a minute, I liked having lunch every week. Like, we care about each other. Right? You risk that. That's the consequence, because it's going to come. One of you is going to meet someone else, because if you're an attractive, confident individual, even if you don't feel like you're that great, right? If you meet someone else and you technically are broken up and you've just been entangled with your ex and you're kind of seeing them off and on and this and that, you're going to go for a good catch. And here's the catch. The better catch your ex is, the better catch you are, the more opportunities there's going to be. Okay, so let me get into the live stream a little bit. We got 11 on deck.
So I just wonder about what if, like, in case of we eating some drugs and we try to quit it, that situation is still be on entanglement.
Say that again?
Like we addict to drugs. Like that you have an example case again lately. Like he addict to drugs and he tried to quit it, but it's really take time to quit it, that drugs. So this kind of entanglement again.
Well, an entanglement to a drug addict could be that you want to visit them in rehab, you want to support them. That's a choice. Mm-hmm. But you're never going to... The good thing... probably everyone's like, the good thing about dating a drug addict? I don't know if there's a good thing, but here's the good thing. It's very clear what the problem is. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you're like, I don't know what it is. I just don't have that spark anymore. I don't know what it is. They're just not as attractive. I don't know what it is. I've been in relationships where I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's gotten monotonous, or I just don't feel the same. I don't know what it is because they're such a good person. It could be you. But a addict, it's like, hey, dude, quit fucking, doing cocaine every day, or quit doing drugs, whatever. Uh-huh. So it's very clear. But that being said, it's very difficult to trust that person that they're just going to quit. So you can be entangled with them after, because the thing about a drug addict or an alcoholic, you worry about them because they make bad decisions and they're unsafe. Uh-huh. So you're connected to them in a way that's different, and entangled with them in a way that's almost like a caregiver. And if you have a good heart, you're a nurse type, like nurses or even teachers, people that really go out of their way to help people and care about people. They are susceptible to stay in relationships like this, not because of intimacy or attraction, but because they're worried about an individual without them. Does that make sense? So like they're so worried that if they break up with this guy or woman, that they're going to die, that they're going to hurt themselves, that they're going to lose their job. And it's really hard for them to break that entanglement. And so those entanglements stay longer because pity and worry and guilt. And so you have to understand why you're entangled with that individual still. But the only way to officially move on, move forward, do better for yourself is to cut off all entanglements. The consequence, it fucking really hurts, because it's kind of like the entanglements are you taking like pain medicine when you got a bad ache or a pain and you're like, okay, I'm just going to take the pain pills every day. I've never been a person that's taken pain pills. I'm just using this as an example because I have relatives that have been hooked on them. But whereas if the doctor said, hey, if you exercise your sprained ankle every day, even though it hurts, it's going to get stronger faster than you laying on your ass watching TV and taking pain pills. So the entanglements are actually little boosts of you feeling like, oh, my ex still has feelings for me. Oh, my ex still has feelings. Oh, my ex still likes me. But until you guys get back together, you're actually not making any progress. You're actually just disenabling you from moving fully forward. And you have to know what you really want. So let's see here.
Because no one can change that easily.
No, but the one thing that makes people change really quick is a high fucking consequence. Think about that for a minute. If you have something really bad happen to you, or you have a really high consequence, immediately people will change. If I say, Al, if you're going to go to jail if you smoke another cigarette, would you be like, I won't smoke another cigarette?
Yeah, because like it's fucking no.
It's like, you know what I mean? Let's say Thailand said cigarettes are completely illegal, and if we catch you on the street smoking cigarettes, you're in jail for 5 years. Now you might go, that's fucked up. That's too much. That's this. But if it's a real thing, you won't do it. You wouldn't risk it. Correct?
Yeah.
Or how about this one? In other countries, and I don't know what it is in America now, and I don't smoke cigarettes, so I don't know all this. But cigarettes are like $20 a pack, I think, in Australia and New Zealand. I'm not sure. I think they are. I think they're like $12. So a pack of cigarettes in America is like 400 baht. A pack of cigarettes in, I think it's Australia and Canada. I could be wrong. You can correct me on this. Like 600 or 700 baht, which is like $20. Would you buy cigarettes if they were 600 baht a pack?
Right.
That's pretty expensive, right? It's like, that's a consequence. Like, I can't pay for this. Right? I mean, my cousin of mine that smoked cigarettes for years, like a lot, enjoyed them. Every time you have a conversation, it's like, and he'll pull out another one. Like one of those people, he loves his cigarettes. He enjoys smoking cigarettes. He had to smoke at least a pack a day, right? And he had smoked since he was a teenager. There was no like, oh, it's bad for me, I should quit. He enjoyed the hell out of them. And then he has 3 kids, and he's like, yeah, I just quit smoking cigarettes. I was like, really? And he substituted small cigars because he goes, it was just too expensive. He goes, I'm spending he's like, I'm spending like $80 a week on cigarettes. I can't afford it with my kids. Consequences. So that's when people will change quickly, is they feel a consequence, an immediate feeling from the consequence. And then the other reason why people usually change is if they have to. You don't change unless you feel like you have to. There's usually not like a, I should be doing this. We all should be doing more. We all would like to say like, yeah, I should volunteer more. I should do this. I should, myself included. But until something really bad happens, or something pushes us in that direction, or we meet someone to change our mind, it's really hard just to change just because you think you should change. It's usually due to someone new you meet that kind of puts you up on something, consequences, or an immediate, I have to, right? I have to, right? Like, for example, you, Al, if you speak pretty good English, not perfect, which isn't very common. I wouldn't say this to be wrong, but Thailand, I would say the English isn't great overall, and your English is pretty good. What made you want to learn English? Because a lot of people would be like, I don't want to learn.
Actually, I have inspiration from the song. I would like to know what that's the song, like the media of the song, we're gonna say.
Music.
Yeah, music. And that music is from Linkin Park. The name of that song is Somewhere I Belong. So there is lyrics that is keep running to my head when I was 10 years. Like, I wanna hear, I wanna feel to something real. So on that time, I don't know what does it mean. But when I heard when I was a kid, it's like, I wanna hear. Here it means something like of a curse word in Thai. So I just would like to really know what does it really mean.
Oh, you misunderstood it.
Yeah.
That's why you want to learn. That's interesting. That's a seed.
Mm-hmm.
That's a seed reason.
And then the thing that helped me to inspiring to learn more English is when I saw Avril Lavigne on TV. I feel like, fuck.
Because you had a crush on Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
It's so random.
So it's like, oh shit, she have a nice mind. I would like to know English more because
that's motivation.
Yeah, she's rock star.
I
So,
got it.
Yeah, so it's like, damn, I gotta learn. I keep digging to English.
God, see that's like. But I think that you're probably at your age, if you were 10 or 11 years old too, it's more significant to you to have a crush or something like that. Maybe that's part of it too. All right, let's get to the live stream here. I just discarded my narcissist. I think that's right. This is the 4th time he doesn't care, no emotions, and empathy. So if there's in a situation where you have a 4th time where someone doesn't care, no emotions, empathy, you got to take responsibility and accountability for the 3 times you let that shit go. So Lisa, if you really want to dig into this, I would suggest you do a live coaching session with myself. Refund will be given if you don't find it useful or helpful. But there's something that you think that he's doing this to you, but the reality is you are accepting it. If it happens 3 or 4 times, right? Like, then it's not you just being fooled. It's you not being alert and knowing that whatever you accept in a relationship, 1 time, 2 times, will be the expectations or be the experience down the road. Playbooks are being made as you are together, and they really are being formed in the first 6 months to year and a half. And so all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they did this again. Well, people repeat what they did the first time. And a lot of times, just in the breakup story that I dealt with yesterday, the individual I talked to yesterday, he was just saying, I'm like, so this breakup's the same pretty much as the reasons for the first one. He goes, yeah. It's not surprising because, and there weren't horrible reasons to break up. It's just that person, as soon as they have a problem, will revert back to what they did before. What happened first 3? You went back. Michael Andrew, okay, that's who I talked to yesterday. I hope you're doing well, Michael. Found out in July. Yes, I need to forget him and move on. It's really hard to forget people. I think you need to neutralize your feelings towards them. So what you resist persists. It means like you go, I hate this person. You got to neutralize it into a way that you can live with it. You can find meaning in it that you can live with. Not that you can be angry with. You don't even have to make it a sweet reason. You don't have to make it like, oh, everything's going to be fine. They're a great person. You don't have to be nice about it. You could be like, hey, this person was a narcissist. They treated me really bad. It was a really bad situation in my life. And at this point, I learned so much, and I've delved into learning more about narcissism behavior, and I know the signs now, and I'm not going to let that happen again. Angel Jimenez. Coach, I'm 30, and she was 40 with 3 kids. Wow, that's a lot to take on. I'm about to finish my engineering degree. I was settling, and I knew it, but it hurts since she ended it 2.5 years. What you had me at, I was settling and I knew it. Let's unpack that, Angel. You want to talk about that? I got some time because the fact that someone breaks up with you and you're like, I was settling and I knew it, but it hurts. That somehow that tells me that in the back of your mind, yeah. The other thing is when someone has 3 kids, that's a lot to take on. It's a pretty big smack in the face that you were willing to be with someone 10 years older than you and take on 3 kids and they still broke up with you. Seriously, Angel, let's unpack this thing, man. Let's do a live coaching session. I can help you with that one because that's something that you need to. That you're 30 years old. You're still a young man. Do you know that song, Aleph?
No. I heard it.
Yeah,
but I don't really know.
30 years old. You are in a very good position as a man. You just getting your engineering degree. What you do need to do is get to a point where you're neutralizing what happened in this breakup. If this woman put you down, if she said some things, because you will carry it into future relationships and sabotage good situations because of this past one. So I'd really like to help you mend that. Yes, it hurts. I need to be strong. The narcissist has taken me through patterns. I didn't know what it was. My girlfriend told me about NPD. He only discards and returns love bombing. It has been confusing. Well, let's unpack it in a live coaching session. Mac, checking in. I've missed your energy. Stephanie TV. No, I didn't want it anymore. Just that I didn't want to be alone, so I stayed, and she was pressuring me to have another kid with her. Well, it sounds like you you didn't want to have a 4th kid. Jeez, man. That sounds like that's a very clear decision. You're with someone, you love them, you feel like you're settling for them, but you didn't want to be alone. That's a bad reason to be with someone, first and foremost. Secondly, the worst thing you could probably do in any relationship is have a kid when you don't want to have a kid, let alone have a kid with someone you don't want to have a kid with. It's different to have a relationship with someone than to have a relationship with someone that you go, yeah, she'd be a really good mom. I really like to have kids with her. Yeah, I'm really ready to have kids. That's totally different. There's plenty of women out there and men out there that you go, I want to hook up with her. I want to hook up with him, but I want to have kids with him. Yeah. I mean, it's different, right?
Yeah.
Just like you meet a woman or a man and you go, I could marry him or her. And then you have situations where you're like, oh, I'm attracted to them, but I wouldn't want to marry them. Totally different. And so you saying that right there, and you got out at 2.5 years, good for you, Angel. Take a bow. Sometimes bad things turn into good things. We connect the dots later on, and I'm going to tell you right now, in a couple of years, you might go, oh my God, I'm so glad she left me. I'm entangled to my success. Is that a good thing? Real with Ada or Ida? Good to see you. Angel, lucky you got out before you were entangled in a sort of trap. Wait, so what are we defining? Entanglements as exactly... Entanglements is entanglements, I talked about this early on, but basically entanglements is a situation where you are still, and the way I'm talking about it today, you are still tied to your ex outside of being boyfriend and girlfriend, whether that's finances, whether that's intimacy. So you're going to them, and you're going to them for specific reasons, but you're broken up. And this keeps you in the relationship. And a lot of times, like social media, you'd say, well, what am I going? You're going to their social media to see if they still like you, care about you, or if they've moved forward. That's what you're usually going there for. And then you see one picture with them with a new guy or a new girl, and you go nuts, and you actually don't even know what the hell happened. Entanglements are what keep you from actually healing and moving forward. It's like you just keep pulling the scab off. But here's the hard part. Once you cut off entanglements, you do have to go through a period where it hurts, where you're like, oh shit, we really have to cut each other off now. I think the constant on and off gets tiring. The cycle wore the entanglement so thin it naturally dissipated. That's a really good way to put it, real with Ida. I think the constant on and off gets tiring. And that's the thing. Human beings, I've seen this in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Richard Bandler, who was one of the founders of NLP, I've seen him in an interview before. And one of the things he would do when he would, he's not a psychiatrist or psychoanalyst. I don't know if you guys know what NLP is, but he would have clients, let's say, drinking problem, let's say they had a problem with their weight, etc. And they would go into all the reasons or excuses of why they couldn't lose weight. And then he goes, well, how's that working out for you? Like someone would say, oh, well, I just can't not get fast food every day, and I just don't have time to cook healthy meals. And he goes, well, how's that working out for you? And then the people that he would ask, like, how did you end up losing weight? They would go, I just got tired of being fat. I just got sick of it. So that usually getting tired of the same thing is a recipe for someone to go, yeah, I'm done, when you're not getting what you want, when you're not getting a prize at the end of the day. Beware the covert narc, Mr. Sammy. Wake the fuck up. Okay. Lisa, you're welcome. Yes, you're right, coach. Need to get a private set. Angel, if you don't find it useful or helpful, I will refund your money, my friend. So go to rightmac.com and go ahead and put that in. You can have, Michael's done a session before. Michael, guess you could say I'm entangling for the validation and potential power dynamic shift to feel in the driver's seat of the situation as a whole. I would agree. Michael, I don't have a problem with you doing it. Just know what you're doing. There's a lot of value in knowing why you're doing something and not just unconsciously going through the motions. And so this is called being mindful. So if you do that and you're in that situation, it's fine. As it transpires and as it moves forward and you're in that driver's seat and you get that validation, is it enough? Is it really the ideal situation? It's a good question. The tough part, Michael, is the alternative to you cutting off all entanglements and going all in on being single is it's gonna hurt. Is it's gonna hurt, right? It's gonna hurt. It's gonna make the breakup more real, more quick when you go, I'm all in. I'm just gonna, you know what? If we run into each other, I'm not gonna, you know, there's no more going on. Now you're in a situation, Michael, because I know your situation, because we did live coaching. You could revisit this thing. She's not a bad girlfriend. You weren't a bad boyfriend. She's got some emotional issues. She's got some maturity issues. And in her particular case, I think that she really feels guilty when things aren't going right, or she might have a sideways feeling. And here's the crazy thing. You can be in a relationship for, I've been in 5 years, I've been in 8 years. Like, you can be in a relationship and there's moments where you're like, what am I doing? Like, I think that's real, right? That's real. And some people, and especially women in their 20s, not just you, Michael, they get guilt-ridden by those thoughts. Like, fuck, maybe I just had this thought about, you know, this guy that I work with, and maybe I shouldn't even be with him. And they start transpiring. To me, if you're in a long-term relationship, you're going to have moments where you're like, oh, I wish I was single. I wish I had an opportunity to go out with that hot chick that gave me a smile in the cafe. You know what I mean? It's like, I've had that happen, you know, like you're like, when you're with, the amazing thing is when you're in a relationship and you have opportunities where you're just like, wow, I think that girl was attracted to me, or that woman was attracted to me. And you're in a monogamous long-term relationship, you're like, fuck, man, if I was single right now, I would be on it. Yeah, I would. And you just assume that, because like sometimes, let's be honest, someone can just smile at you and be sweet and flirtatious, but not be available, and they're just doing it for sport. Yeah. They're just doing it for fun. I'll give you an example. This was like last week. I was at a vegan restaurant, actually. Why I'm telling you that, I don't know, just to give you an idea of where I was. Really cool place. Girl comes over to help me. She's in her mid to late 20s. Really sweet and kind, nice smile. Comes over. Oh, you know, did you want this? Takes my food. Then starts a conversation with me. Like, I'm one of those, I'm chatty. At this time, I was doing some work. I was busy. She continued to chat with me. Really sweet, really kind. And I'm like, wow, she's cute. You know, she's really nice. In my head, I'm just giving you in my head. In my head, I'm thinking, maybe she likes me, right? Maybe that's a pretty big compliment. This woman in her late 20s, it's pretty cute, right? Like the way she's talking to me, the way she's asking me where I work, what I do. She's asking me questions about me, right? And I even had to I was like, okay, it was really nice to meet you. And she's like, you too. Da-da-da-da. And she leaves, goes, gets my food. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, she kind of likes me. Yeah, you know, like this. About 15 minutes later, Aleph, her boyfriend walks in and she has lunch with him.
Yeah.
Right? So do you know what I'm saying? So she was just being nice. Mm-hmm. And someone else would be like, oh, I know she liked me. Maybe she's just a sweet person. Maybe she's just being nice because she's at work.
She's generous, kind person like that.
You know what I mean, though? Like, and like 50, and I wasn't pissed or anything, because I was like, oh, good for you, man. She seems like a really nice girl. In my head. This is my head. But how many times when you're with someone, you're like, oh, yeah, if I was single, I would have got her number and I would have went out with her and we would have been together. It's actually not that simple.
Not that easy.
It's not that simple, because a lot of the good catches have partners. Mm-hmm. A lot of times they're not single. But it was just funny because that's what goes through your head. Like, oh shit, she likes me. She might even liked you, but she's not going to do anything about it. She's just being kind of flirtatious and sweet. But I just think that that's so funny, because we just assume, oh man, if I was, and then when you're really at ground zero, when you really decide to break up and dislodge from someone and go all in, I don't know about other people, but if you've been together with someone a long time, it's hard to start dating right away or to entertain things, because I think that you do need to go through a little bit of a period of like just being alone, just like, okay, not dating, because whoever you go out with after that is going to kind of compare to your ex and not be comfortable unless it was a really toxic situation. So guess you can say, oh, I'm sorry. There were times that I will ask myself, what am I doing with this person intimacy was not good at all. Well, you're 30 years old, they're 40, and they had 3 kids, and the intimacy wasn't good at all. Usually a lot of guys actually say that when they date older women that the intimacy is actually better. So that just depends on you, Angel Jimenez, is intimacy an important part of your relationship? Some guys, some women will go, it's not that important to me. And someone else will go, oh, that's bullshit. It's up to the individual. So if that's something in the future that you're like, that, you know, or the question would be, did you have past relationships where the intimacy was excellent, right? And if that's the case, was it that much better? Was it that much important? Are you capable of having a relationship that has better intimacy? That's a pretty big sacrifice at 30 years old to go like, because correct me if I'm wrong, if you're going to be with that person for another 10 years and you have one more kid and have 4 kids, your intimacy is probably not going to get better. It probably would get worse if I had to bet on it on Vegas odds. Huda 218, it's a hurt. It's hurt at first, then you get used to it. Wow, those are words of wisdom. Thank you, Huda. Could also entangle, and if she ends up not being into it, the curiosity of how it would go is satisfied, and it's easier to move on than the what if of how entangled would go is gone. Michael, I would agree with that because I could answer you because I know your situation. So you can easily still be entangled because you, to me, and I don't know the ex as well as you do, you seem to be in the driver's seat because you seem to have more confidence and mindfulness. You've studied attraction. So you're almost in a situation where you know where you want to head with this. She's the one that's more susceptible to getting hurt if she stays entangled with you. And she's just not really sure of anything right now. But I agree with you, the what if. This would be you taking care of Michael first and foremost, and I'm okay with that. Aunt Doris. Hi, Aunt Doris. Interesting name. Are you Aunt Doris? Are you an auntie?
Aunt Doris? Oh, Aunt Doris.
Aunt Doris.
Yeah.
So we got 13 on deck. Is Alice's mic on?
Yeah, it's on, but
Okay.
but I just so far away, sorry.
Yeah. Well, but these entanglements, it's a really interesting topic. I think that it's something that we lose track of. It's a big part of relationships. It's a big part of the reason why you don't move on and meet someone equal or higher value. And I really believe that you have to get in touch with what you want. Now, the catch to all this is, I told Michael this yesterday, Rob, if you're still on deck, because I know you're a huge fan of Corey Wayne. I was just listening to Corey Wayne a few days ago. I haven't listened to some of his videos in a while, but one of the things he always mentions, and I don't know, this is just a random stat he kind of throws out there, but is he said that when you meet someone that you really connect with, that like checks a lot of boxes, that you go like, you guys have conversations for 2 or 3 hours and it goes well. And I've had, those are women that ended up being my girlfriends, that you go out on a date and it's like, no one checks the clock and all of a sudden it's like 1 o'clock and you go, oh shit, we've just been talking this whole, someone might go, oh, you guys talk that long? Well, I do. I'm a talker. But if you're in that situation where you just go, wow, and I'm not, this isn't one of those things where you're like, oh, I found my soulmate, right? It's like, this is the person for me that, you know, this is a Disney movie. No, that's not what I mean. I just mean that this is a deep connection where you just go, fuck, man, this is nice. It's like if you've had enough jobs in your life, and you had a job, and like the first day of your job, it's tough, and you kind of have to work your way into it. Relationships, I think, are a little different. It's really nice when you go out with someone the first few times and you're just like, wow, just hanging out with them, I feel good. They make me feel good about myself. I like talking to them. We seem on the same page. So Corey Wayne was like, you only meet like 3 of those a decade. Decade's 10 years, if you didn't know that, Aleph. Did you know decade's 10 years? Okay, sorry. Sorry to insult you.
It's okay.
So, I don't know if you meet 3 in a decade. It depends on your environment. I was just telling Michael this. It really does. If you live in a major city, you're going to have more options. You're going to meet more women, more men, because there's just more people. You're also more susceptible to cheat or get happy feet because you're coming across more people. So it's a double-edged sword. Now, that being said, coming back to this, when you cut off entanglements and you cut off from your ex, you're putting yourself in a situation where you're at zero. And so that can be a little bit uncomfortable because you haven't found the person that's as good as that person was as far as the connection. And meeting someone that maybe is as well connected to you as your ex, it doesn't usually happen in a day. And that's the hard part. It could be 6 months, a year, 2 years. We just had, I think his name was Joseph Fershi. He called in. He called in on the live stream. And he was like, he originally broke up with his girlfriend, and then he did a year of dating online, and then he dated a woman for a year that he thought he was really into, and she was good, and she broke up with him. Took him about, and then he's said about 2.5 or 3 years before he met a really good match. And the guy's a university professor, high school teacher. He does both. Don't ask me how, but that's what he said. And the woman that he was dating is a counselor at the university he's at. They both hold multiple degrees. I mean, he was just like, the way they're connected is so great, wonderful, good. And he was just calling me to say that he had watched some of my videos and it really helped him through the breakup. But it took him fucking 3 years and one breakup in between to find a really good match. So, like I said, it's not the movies, and I think that's the hard part, is breaking the entanglements to go all in, burn the ships to take the island, right, Michael? So, and some people aren't ready for that. And if you're not, just realize what you're doing, why you're doing it, and the consequences. That's all. Entanglements are not easy to end when you're dating a narcissist. I think entanglements aren't easy to end unless you're the type of person, and there's people like this, and I think Aleph said he's like this, when I'm done, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this guy, strong, man. Yeah. So, like, some people aren't like that.
Uh-huh.
Some people are like, I don't like to just turn my back on someone. It's like, I have a really good friend.
Actually, it's helped because, like, what I tell you, what I release, I don't keep it repeat.
Yeah, and that's a
fucking done.
It's like, my name's Aleph. This is what I do. It's like your identity. Like, when I'm done, I'm done. And so when people are very like that, for example, if you have someone that, I have a really good friend, I think he didn't run away from home, but he like, basically he said he was on his own until he was like 14 or 15 years old. So people like this, like, they're on their own. Whatever happened at home, they had to get on their own early. You don't hear about this a lot, but they left home at 15. They left home at 16. They had a fight with their parents. Someone passed away. These kind of people, a lot of times, if they're in a breakup, if it's done, they're done, because they've already done this to people they care about. You know what I'm saying? It's life experience. It's like, nah, man, if it happens, it happens. I'm fucking done. And you'd be like, wow, this person's a narcissist. This person's insensitive. No, this person has had people that they loved before that they lost, and they move forward from, and so they know they can do it. And for people that have been in like lovey-dovey families and have been nurtured a lot and taken care of, it's really hard for them to let go, because they're like, wait a minute, this is foreign to me. People I care about, we don't leave each other. So they have more trouble with it. Everyone's different.
How you call that kind of identity person who have done and done like that again? There is a specific name.
I don't have a specific name for it. What you thinking there's a specific name that people...
Like the identity of what done is done, that kind of person.
Decisive would be one word. Some people might find it stubborn, but I would say it's decisive. There's some people that they make a decision and they don't go back on it. They don't. It's like, I already decided that's it. And someone would be like, oh, they're being stubborn. No, that's how they are. That's who they are. Like I said, I have a friend like that, and he left home early. Highly independent individual. Can come off as an asshole or a tough guy sometimes, but he takes care of himself, and he's been doing it for a long time. And if someone rubs him the wrong way or he makes a decision, he's done. Done. He wouldn't have entanglements. Now, in some ways, it's admirable, but in some ways, you can cut off good relationships too by, not everyone needs to be cut off in your life because they don't agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it works both ways. Especially as women, it's a way harder for us to just turn out our backs on someone we are in love with. We are too emotionally invested. Stephanie, I'd actually say that there's a lot of men that would say it's harder for men because they're entangled. So there's some men that are highly emotionally invested. They've been raised by their moms only and whatnot. So that's true of men also. It just depends on the individual. My ex is 60 and I'm 40. Wow, that's an age gap. I thought this kind of thing could only happen with younger men. It really shocked me. I thought we were set for life. Well, Aunt Doris, you want to send in your story to writemac.com. We could do a breakup coaching session and figure it out. But I don't really know the details of why you thought you were set for life or it shocked you. But breakups happen. Shit happens. Life changes. It's a roller coaster. I remember when I was in a bad breakup before, and one of my families are like, yeah, smoking cigarettes, like, yeah, life's a roller coaster, man. It's crazy. It's up and down. I was just like, fuck you, man. Like, that's all you got for me? You know, you want someone with, like, magic answer, magic feelings change, and someone's like, yeah, it's just a roller coaster ride, man. Things will get better. And in that moment, it's like, actually, it's all happening for a reason is the only thing you can realize, and you got to believe that you're going to get better at some point. You're going to feel better at some point, because when you're down, the only place to go is up. And when you're up, unfortunately, you're going to come down at some point. That's the shitty thing. How many times have you heard like stories of people that are millionaires or extremely successful? Mike Tyson's one of them, right? Even though Mike Tyson's just this crazy boxer that, bit off some guy's ear in the ring. If you hear him talk, he's actually pretty intelligent.
Yeah.
Right? And he talk again and again. If you hear him in interviews, he talks about he was worth like hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't want to quote 500 millions. And he's like, he lost all his money at one point. Obviously, he can make it back because he's got a big name. But he was like, I was never happy with all that money. He's like, I was actually happier when I was poor, and I was taking care of my pigeons, and I had my friends. Because to him, where he grew up and how he grew up and who he was, he never identified with being special or better than other people, and so it fucked with him. And that's why we just assume that if I had this, and this, myself included sometimes, I'm like, if I was rich, I'd be a fucking great rich person. If I was a millionaire, I'd be highly generous. I believe that. I'd be like, when people are like, oh, money's not everything, it doesn't make you happy, I'm like, well, I think it would encourage me to be a little bit happier to have millions of dollars and be able to share that with more people and do more things and help people out. Yeah, sure. But the reality is, if you really think about it, is all you ever have is the present moment, like right now. Right now. And if you're breathing, you got shelter, you got some friends, you got something to do, you're doing a lot better than the people that you think are doing better. We always want to compare to the people that are doing better. But people say when you make a lot of money or you have a lot of money, there's so much jealousy, like from your family and friends, that you actually get treated badly sometimes. Because people are like, you should be fucking giving me some of that money. You should be helping me out. You should be doing this because you're rich. And so you get treated differently. That's why you just got to get your own island, right, Danny? Just buy yourself your own island. That's it. That's the answer. And Aleph would just have thousands of cats around him.
In his island?
You'd create just a cat island. Just a giant cat island. Maybe with would that be considered?
Yeah. An island of 1,000 cats.
1,000 cats. Talik. Many broken hearts out there. Be confident we are all the same. Well, broken hearts do heal, right? Mm-hmm. Broken hearts do heal. They do. I mean, the amazing thing when you look at life, you look at your friends, family members, movie stars, whatever you want to look at, all of them, if they've lived long enough, have had a broken heart once or twice. It's not just breakups. Could be a pet loss. You know, I've had clients.
They broke their heart too.
Yeah, they're like, it's not by accident. They're like, my dog just died and I went off on my girlfriend. Like that sparked them to get really angry with their girlfriend and break up. And I'm like, it's not by coincidence. It's a big loss, because someone will lose their dog and then they'll go, my ex didn't even care.
They will get into the weak situation.
Yeah, it's like losing a family member. You're sensitive.
Yeah. And that time we don't have reasonable. We're going to be all emotional.
And if someone says the wrong thing, you're going to be like, wow, you don't even care.
Yeah, what?
They just don't know what it feels like because it's not their dog.
Yeah.
Not their cat. I feel like that's rare, though, but you're right. There are definitely some men like that out there. All right, does anyone have any questions? I got about another 5 minutes here. Any questions about the live stream today? We got 12 on deck, 6 likes. Thank you kindly. It's been good. Started out a little slow. If you want to make a donation, you can. If you want to book a live coaching session, go to rightmac.com, and I'll help you out with that. If you want to send your story in and get my take on that in a public video, or if you want a private video response, then you can go to rightmac.com and book that also. But I would say if you have a fresh breakup and you're still kind of going through it and you got some issues with it, I'd highly recommend a live coaching session with myself. That's because I am good at what I do. That's not me not being humble. It's just true. What do you think? It's guaranteed. So if you don't find it helpful or useful, you can get a refund. I haven't done the refund yet, but I offer it. At the end of the live coaching session, it's like, did you find this useful and helpful? And I think out of all the people that came on today, Angel Jimenez, I would go for it, man, because that's tough. 2.5 years. 2.5 years, fresh breakup. You weren't all in. But 30 years old, man, that's a good time to be single. They claim that the pinnacle for a man's attraction is about 31, 32. Did you know that, Aleph?
No.
Never heard that before?
No.
Have you heard that before, Danny?
Yeah.
The pinnacle, like, I don't know why.
Yeah, for research.
Yeah, it's like, it's supposed to be 31 to 32.
And women are like 21.
Like what?
He's right. He's right. It's
21, like what?
Pinnacle means like the top, right?
Uh-huh.
And I don't know where this comes from. You know, when you see this in quotes, Rational Male had it, but it comes up a lot. So when you say 21, it could be 21, 22, 23. It does, you know what I mean? Like 21, 22, whatever. It doesn't have to be 21. Mm-hmm. But you're right, Danny. Good knowledge. I would say that it comes up a lot. Women are at their peak or pinnacle attraction, and I would say physical attraction, at 21 to 22 years old, and then it's all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Aleph, who's 23 or 24?
I'm 23 now.
Yeah, Aleph's like, yeah.
Yeah, cause it's true, because someone really attractive for me, she's 22. For each one, it's like 27. But yeah, she's so attractive.
What do you mean, the 27-year-old's still attractive?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, when I read that or see that, I don't know how accurate it is, because there's women out there that you could meet at 20, 21 years old, and they could be 30, 31 years old and look better than they were.
Yeah.
Look at that. That was an exciting, yeah.
Well, it's true, because
I don't know where those stats come from, right? And so, but they say that a man's more attractive, like 31, 32. And I've even heard recently on a podcast with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan had this fitness fanatic guy on, like a guy that was like an ex-Navy SEAL, fucking yoked, And this guy was saying that the peak of a man, as far as his strength and his body, would be 44. I never heard that before. He wasn't saying attraction. Obviously, people get wrinkles at different times and different things. I don't even know how this gets articulated. But I think what they're saying at 31, 32, men might be more attractive. Men might be more attractive because they're more mature.
yeah.
They look more like a man. Than, you know what I mean? Because women are more attracted to a guy that looks like a man.
Like a real man.
Yeah, like not a baby face kind of a thing. That's what might be the reason.
And adult charming thing.
But you know what? I mean, in my experience and living in different places and working at a lot of different jobs and going to different schools and stuff like that, I mean, there's guys that I've met that at 22, or 21, they're like on the college football team, they're in good shape. Women are all over them. By 30 years old, if they have bad habits, they don't look better. They're not more attractive. So, do you know what I mean? Like, if your habits are bad, if you're eating, there's like I used the example of some guy that I did live coaching with. I haven't heard from him in a long time. He had really bad habits. He was only like 27, 28, drank every day, fast food, always trying to lose weight, Didn't have a lot of, and so he's 27, 28, and he's like, man, when I was 21, I was in such good shape. I could do 20 pull-ups. I could do this. I could do that. So, when you read that kind of a thing, I don't know where that comes from. But I would certainly say there's females out there in their 40s that look quite good to me. I'm being honest. It's like, I wouldn't say like that, like just trying to be nice, right? It comes down to your habits. And I do, one thing that's underrated about how you look is if you feel young.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you meet someone and you go, wow, you look younger than your age. Chances are the person feels young and the person hangs out with younger people. That sounds weird, I know. But it's like that attributes to better habits and a feeling. They've had a study on this before that I've talked about on the live stream, so it might be redundant for some people. But where they had like 70-year-old and 80-year-old people go back to the 1960s when they were young and read magazines from the 60s, listen to music from the 60s, and they all felt and looked younger by the end of the week because they were hanging out at the time of when they were younger. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's your brain working. So like, if I was to hang out with, and I've had this happen actually once before. I hung out with a group of guys for about a year. A guy owned a restaurant and a bar. Another guy was very overweight, and they drank every day at happy hour. They had their beers. And I got into this habit, this was like in my early 30s, where I would go over and have a few happy hour beers. And it started out just like, oh, I'm going to go over there and eat and have a couple beers. And then I don't know what the hell happened, but within like 6 or 7 months, it became a daily thing. But here's the crazy thing. The group of guys that were at that restaurant and bar, and I went there originally because they had tacos that I really liked. And then one of the friends owed me some money, and the other friend I was doing a job for, some kind of work for. So I felt like, oh, this is a good way to mingle with some people, whatever. And they were into sports. That's the only time in my life I got a little bit fat. Now, is that because of who I was hanging out with? Probably. You don't realize that you assimilate people you hang out with. It's like, I don't want to copy anyone. You just do. That's just human nature. And that was the only time where I was like, oh, shit. My belly's cutting over my belt for the first time in my life. It's like people are going, are you getting fat? I was like, no, I don't think I'm fat. And then you go, oh, shit.
I'm fat.
Yeah. It was easy to lose weight quick because I don't have the mindset that I'm an overweight person. So, oh my God, chill. 27 is still young, says Stephanie TV. I think so. I think 27 is still young. I'm just saying, I've come across this information multiple times that the peak for a woman is 21, 22, 23. The peak for a man is 31, 32. It's the Rational Male does this, a few other things. Now, there's always exceptions. There's always like, is that 100% true? It's up to you if you want to believe it or not. It's just information. The data suggests. It's like, who knows?
Yeah, the thing is, I said that she still look young because some girl that I used to hang out from, that red dress girl from the Cuba, she showed her sister picture, which is not 27, but she look more younger than her. Yeah.
Well, there you go. See?
Yeah,
It's like someone could be sisters. You're like, that's your sister? Wow, she looks weathered.
Yeah.
You know what the difference is?
Yes.
Habits.
Yeah.
Job.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know what that person's habits are, but that's what you look at someone. You're like, well, why do you look so much different than your sister?
Because her elder sister don't smoke. Yeah, that's why. And
You
don't
see-
drink too much.
That's what I mean. That's what it is. Someone will go, wow, you guys are brother and sister, or you guys are brother and brother, and you look so different. Habits. That's it. What you eat every day, where you go. ... That's all.
Someone said that am I really be brother with my sister?
Because you look younger.
No, because my sister really look white than mine.
Oh,
Yeah.
because of the skin color.
Yeah.
Well, that's brothers and sisters can look quite different.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just a gene thing. You can look way different. Someone can take after their mother and take after their uncle. Sometimes you can look like your grandpa. Sometimes you can look like, that's one of those things that's, you could have two brothers and sisters that look alike, and then someone else is like, wow, you guys are related? I have a couple cousins that they don't look like brothers. One of them has blonde hair. One of them has really dark hair and dark, like,
Pure.
eyebrows, and he's bigger. They don't. If you put them together, they don't look like brothers at all. And one of them just took after his mom, and one of them took after the other one. I would never think that there were. My sister and me, we looked alike. All right. Do we have any closing questions? This is about as far as I'm going to go. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. Any topics you want me to touch on tomorrow, let me know. I'll be back on deck with the live streams. I just had a little sabbatical here for a week. But if this was good for you, thanks for the likes, folks. Thanks for joining, Stephanie. It's been good and grand. It's good to hear from you. Rolo from the Rational Mail was live earlier. I'm going to have to check into that sometime. I like Rolo. Maybe I'll have to pop in on one of those live streams. Entanglement. So it's an interesting thing, isn't it? It's a really interesting thing. And you can go into entanglements like even with your jobs and stuff, things that you get entangled with. All right, I think that's curtains. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Aleph. Thanks, Danny, for helping out. It's been good, and I will see you tomorrow.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.